Hey everyone, World of Warcraft by its nature of being an MMO means that there will always be players who will push the boundaries and achieve things that are thought to be impossible. And sometimes Blizzard themselves introduce things to the game that are very hard to obtain. Prestigious items, titles, or mounts that are there just to make everyone stop for a second and say, this player means business. And Burning Crusade has no shortage of such things. So today, we're gonna go look into just that. Prestigious things that are obtainable in classic Burning Crusade that will make other players stop and contemplate how no life you are or how incredibly lucky you are. For something to be on this list, it can't just be something that's rare just for the sake of being rare. It has to mean something and it has to be recognizable and a token to days, weeks, or even months of time investment into the game. So without further ado, let's look at 10 prestigious things that you can flex with in Burning Crusade. Let's start with mounts, because mounts, and to a lesser extent pets, are probably what Blizzard has mainly been using since the dawn of time to signify that something is prestigious to obtain. And the first, and probably one of the most popular mounts in Burning Crusade, is the Fiery Warhorse. This is an incredibly gorgeous and also rare mount that has a reported 1-2% drop chance from the first boss of Karazhan, Atumen the Huntsman. You're not only gonna be fighting against the odds of this dropping, but once it drops, you'll also be fighting against 9 other players in your raid to obtain this mount. Obviously, this is a ground-only mount. Whenever you see someone riding this in Shatterat, you know they're just doing that to flex, to be honest. But another mount that's very similar to this, but can actually fly, is the Horseman's Reins. We talked about this one in some past videos, but this should indeed be obtainable in classic TBC. It was only added in the latest patch of the original Burning Crusade, but since classic is based on the last patch, then the odds are we're gonna be able to obtain this. This drops from the Headless Horseman in Scarlet Monastery once the Hallows End holiday event is up, but the thing is, this has an incredibly low drop chance. You only have 2 weeks to obtain it with 1 chance per day, and you'll also be fighting with 4 other players for it. So you start to see why this is one of the most prestigious mounts in the game. Another amazing mount that's ground only is Reins of the Raven Lord. This will be obtainable the moment phase 2 drops and once druids start progressing on their flight form questline. Because Anzu, the boss that drops this mount, can only be summoned by a druid that has done the long swift flight form questline. And the cherry on top is that this boss can only be summoned in heroic. So you have 1 chance per day and you have to have a druid in your group. Very few people will have this mount, which makes it even more prestigious to have. The next mount on our list is obviously one of the most awesome looking flying mounts in the game, Ashes of Alar. Everyone knows this by now, it's one of the most iconic mounts in the game. But did you know it's one of the very few mounts that goes at 310% speed? This drops from Kael'thas Sunstrider in Tempest Keep, and as expected, this boss is no joke to kill, making this mount not only require you to kill one of the hardest bosses in the game, not only have an incredibly low 2% drop chance, but also has you fight over it against 24 other players in your group. If you ever see someone flying one of these in Shatterat in classic TBC, you'll know they're both in a very good guild, but also have an extremely good luck. And then obviously, arguably the rarest and most prestigious mount, or mounts in the game, are the Gladiator Mounts. Those are only obtainable by the top 0.5% of arena teams in your given region, along with a temporary title, but we'll get to that in a moment. So these mounts are, along with Ashes of Alar, the only flying mounts in the game that go at the coveted 310% speed. So back in the day in TBC, servers were split into what's called battle groups. Each battle group had a certain amount of servers, which made certain battle groups easier to rank into than others. But nowadays in classic TBC, there's no battle groups. If you want these mounts, you're literally competing with everyone in your region. You're gonna have to be in the top 0.5% of teams no matter what. So seeing someone with this mount is not only prestigious for that player, but also prestigious for your server. server, because you know that your server has at least one team with the best players in your region. Add to that how gorgeous these mounts look, and you start to understand how incredibly prestigious they are to obtain. But there is something even more prestigious than that regarding Arena, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's now move on to gear items. We could spend a whole video talking about rare and powerful items from TBC, but we'll keep it simple and talk about probably the two items that will make everyone stop and inspect you: the Warglaives of Azeroth and Thori'Dal, the Star's Fury. Let's start with the Warglaives first. Obviously, these drop from Illidan. They're probably the most iconic weapons in all of World of Warcraft. With their unique motto and glowing green colors, these weapons are definitely gonna turn some heads around, but their look are just half the story. These are also the best weapons in the game for warriors and rogues, with their insane haste proc and a whopping 200 attack power increase against demons, which is gonna be what you'll mostly be fighting in TBC. Then obviously what makes these so rare is the fact that there's two of them and they only have a 5% drop chance each. So you could be going for weeks and weeks of killing Illidan over and over again and never see one of these drop, let alone both. Very similar to the Thunder Fury bindings from Gar and Geddon in Molten Core. So if you see someone with one of these, you know that they're both incredibly dedicated but also very lucky. And then let's talk about Thori'Dal real quick. This is the first and only legendary bow in all of the game, and it drops from Kil'jaeden, the last boss of Sunwell Plateau. Kil'jaeden himself is very hard, but getting to him means that you'll have to defeat the previous boss, Muru, which is known to be one of the hardest bosses in all of World of Warcraft. Who knows how hard he will be in Classic TBC though. So Thori'Dal has a drop rate of about 5%, similar to the Warglaives. What makes this bow unique is the fact that it generates its own arrows. That's why every hunter will want this, to finally free themselves from the annoying quiver full of arrows that they need to fill every time. Well, at least until Wrath of the Lich King releases. But the thing is, in terms of power, Thori'Dal isn't as high of an upgrade compared to other options like the bow from the Twin Eredar or the one from Illidan. Don't get me wrong though, it is an incredibly powerful weapon to have, and this will make everyone turn around and inspect you in Shattrath. One more item I wanted to mention, which isn't a piece of gear, is the Collector's Edition pets, both from Vanilla and Burning Crusade. If you bought the Collector's Edition of either expansions back in the day, or even now if you want to spend thousands of dollars, you can get either Mini Diablo, the Zergling, or the Panda Cub for the Vanilla Collector's Edition, or the Netherwhelp or Lurkey for the TBC Collector's Edition. Those are really cool to see, but unfortunately they aren't as prestigious because very few people know about them. But still, having those is really cool and special. Let's now talk about titles. Titles have always been a step above in terms of prestige in World of Warcraft. Along with mounts, titles have always been Blizzard's main choice to show that someone is incredibly dedicated. And TBC has no shortage of these types of titles. Let's first talk about the Scarab Lord title. This was added in TBC, but to obtain it, you have to have done the Scarab Lord questline and rang the Gong of the Shifting Sands during Vanilla. Same thing in Classic. To get this in TBC, you must have banged the gong during Classic WoW a year ago, and once Classic TBC dropped, everyone who had done so has obtained the coveted Scarab Lord title. We're not gonna go over the Scarab Lord questline, I think most of you know it, but to put it simply, this was an immense guild effort that only the most dedicated players in each servers could undergo. It required days and days of non-stop farming, and at the end, the players who did it could obtain the legendary mount, and now, with Classic TBC, the Scarab Lord title. So this is one of the most prestigious titles in the game to have. Moving on, we have the rank 14 title, Grand Marshal and High Warlord. This is kind of a meme in the community in the sense that this wasn't quote-unquote difficult to obtain per se. It just required a ton of free time and to just turn off your brain for 14 to 18 hours per day doing nothing else than farming honor in Classic all day. But nonetheless, this title is not obtainable anymore, and if you see someone with it, you know that for at least a few weeks of their life, this person did nothing but play WoW all day and nothing else. That being said, it is a cool title to have. Now, moving on to the cream of the crop, the most prestigious thing to obtain Classic TBC, the token given to not only the most dedicated but also the most skilled. I'm talking about the permanent Gladiator titles: Infernal Gladiator, Merciless Gladiator, Vengeful Gladiator, and Brutal Gladiator. These titles are only given to the top 0.1% of teams in Arena across each region, not server, not battle group, but region. So how it works exactly is that the higher your rating is and the better your rank in the region is, the better your title will be. If you're in the top 35% of teams, you'll receive Challenger. Rival is at 10%, Duelist 3%, Gladiator 0.5%, and Infernal Gladiator and so on is 0.1%. The thing is, all those titles, except the last one, are temporary. They only last for one season. Infernal Gladiator and so on are permanent, and obviously the cherry on top is that literally only 0.1% of teams in your region will obtain these. So this means that if you see someone around with one of those titles, you can not only be proud for that player, but you can be proud for your server, which has at least 2 to 5 players who are literally the best PvPers in your region and probably in the world. That's an insanely prestigious feat of strength. Of course, we should start seeing these players surface once Phase 2 releases and Season 2 begins, because that's when those rewards will be distributed. But that's everything on this list. I don't know about you, but I find it really cool that there's these unique cosmetic only tokens in the game that signify that someone has done something either insanely hard or insanely tedious. But are you guys gonna go for one of these things yourselves? Also, I most definitely forgot to include things here. So if you know a prestigious item, title, or mount, or anything else in the game that I didn't include here, let us know in the comments. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the Classic WoW Curios channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye for now.